There are now 4 really impressive teams that we have seen through 2 weeks, okay? Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, and Oklahoma, I would say, have created space between themselves and everybody else, okay? There are 4 guys, I think, out there, 4 teams in college football, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, and Oklahoma, probably the 4 best teams so far. If you were doing a college football right now and you said, we have to seed the playoff, I would go 1 Bama, 2 Georgia, 3 Ohio State, and 4 Oklahoma. I'm curious to see what Alabama does this weekend against Ole Miss. Remember, last year they won 66-3. I think Alabama, if they left Tua in, will score 70 points against Ole Miss. Now, they may give up 35, but I think they'll score 70. Kentucky. I want to give props. People say, oh, you don't talk enough positivity. You're too negative. I want to give uniform props here, beyond a shadow of a doubt, to the Kentucky Wildcats right now. Kentucky beat Florida for the first time since 1986. They won a road game in Gainesville for the first time since 1979. I was watching this game. I have a lot of buddies who are Kentucky football fans. Yes, they exist. And I got to tell you, I felt good for them. I hope you guys were watching and you enjoyed it too. Having said that, Florida's awful. Felipe Franks, not a good quarterback. The amount of overall talent, where did Jordan Scarlett go? How is Dan Mullen not able to correctly utilize him? I'd be a little bit nervous if I were a Gator fan right now. I actually think Tennessee's going to beat Florida in 2 weeks in Knoxville. Now, it doesn't necessarily tell you anything, because I've predicted Tennessee's going to beat Florida every September for like the last 15 years. But I've convinced myself that in 2 weeks, the Gators don't really have a very good quarterback. I think it's going to be a low-scoring, ugly, Will Muschamp-style game. And I don't think that Mullen has the talent to be able to run the offense that he wants to right now at Florida. I think that Jeremy Pruitt's going to be able to put together a scheme. I don't think that Felipe Franks can pick apart this young Tennessee secondary like Will Grier did, who I'm a pretty big fan of, Will Grier. I think Will Grier is really good. I'm telling you right now, Tennessee's going to win that game. They're going to be 3-1 when they go into the deadly part of their season, which is going to get brutal. I mentioned it earlier. Sometimes the common wisdom is wrong. In fact, very often it is. It's happened in the Pac-12 South already. Everyone, yourself included, myself included, ridiculed Herm Edwards' hire at Arizona State. And the fact that he was going to implement some kind of weird-ass situation with his team where they were going to sit around and they were going to have like a pro-style situation. You know what they did? They went out and they beat Mark D'Antonio and the Michigan State Spartans in the second week of the season. Kevin Sumlin has started off 0-2 at Arizona. Everybody was in love with him. I have no idea what's happened to Khalil Tate. And also, on top of that, you have a situation where Chip Kelly and UCLA is just not a good fit. So I don't think there's any doubt at all. Chip Kelly, Kevin Sumlin will eventually get things going better, but right now they're 0-4, and Herm Edwards is 2-0. All right, let's talk about the game Saturday night. I got to tell you, I was talking about 2012 Aggies. I was talking about 2013 Aggies. You guys know that I've been tough on Jimbo Fisher over his protection of Jameis Winston and all the mess that went on down in Tallahassee. But what I have never criticized is Jimbo Fisher's ability to get a quarterback playing at the absolute apex of his game. Christian Ponder, E.J. Manuel, both total bust. Jameis Winston, we'll get to him in a minute, may not get his job back as Fitzmagic takes over in Tampa Bay. I'm here to tell you right now, Kellen Mond looked like a different player Saturday night against Clemson. I think that game was more about A&M exceeding expectations than it was Clemson failing to live up to them. I thought Kellen Mond, particularly in the second half, was a revelation. This is a guy who completed 51% of his passes under Kevin Sumlin's offense last year, and he was unstoppable virtually by that Clemson defense in week 2. Now, I believe, you guys can tell me I'm crazy, the Tennessee Titans can clip this and they can share it in 5 years. I believe that Jimbo Fisher is going to take the Texas A&M Aggies at some point under this current contract into the college football playoff. That is my belief based on what I have seen so far. I think he's going to recruit like gangbusters. If I had to bet right now on whether I like Tom Herman or whether I like Jimbo Fisher to be successful in the state of Texas, I like Jimbo Fisher more than I do Tom Herman. Not to say Tom Herman can't win too. Big game for Tom Herman this weekend against USC. But I like Jimbo Fisher more, which ties in with my larger issue here. We got to change the rule. Okay? I don't think that rule ended up changing the outcome of the game, but we have to change the rule on fumbles into the end zone and the other team gets it coming back at the 20-yard line. Before I explain why, let me tell you this. Would you believe that it made sense if you were at the 50-yard line and a team fumbled the ball out of bounds if the other team got the ball at the 50-yard line? You would think that was ludicrous. You'd be like, well, they didn't recover it. Why should we give the ball to them at the 50? The ball went out of bounds. The team that fumbled it should get it where they fumbled it out of bounds. Why should the rules suddenly change completely when you get down close to scoring a touchdown? After you've done all the hard work of driving the length of the field, why should you reward the defense for a fumble not the same way that you treat a fumble that happens at midfield or the 15 or the 30 or the 40 or the whatever yard line it is? To me, this is a simple rule. You get the ball if it goes out of bounds at the closest place that you had possession of it prior. If you want to then institute a 5-yard penalty, let's say, if you fumble it out the back of the end zone, you lose 5 yards from the spot where you fumbled it or from the goal line or something like that, I wouldn't even necessarily disagree. But I think in general, this idea that the other team should get the ball and they should get a touchback is probably the most broken rule in college football. I think the most broken rule in the NFL is the landing on a quarterback with their body weight. I don't know why that doesn't happen. It's totally logical. I think it's fair to both parties. I don't understand who the people are that think it makes sense to have it end that way. So that would be my solution. That's all college football. Any college football questions quickly from you guys? Best team in the state of Florida right now is Central Florida. Best team in the state of Florida. Florida State is awful. They got that ridiculous backpack that they're wearing, the turnover backpack. I think Miami's going to be okay. I don't think Florida's very good. I don't think Florida State's very good. Through 2 weeks, the best team in the state of Florida is Central Florida. Ole Miss defense, I have zero faith in. I want to see what the over is going to be in Alabama Ole Miss, and I'm going to hammer it. I can't possibly avoid hammering it. Loved what I saw from Mississippi State. Nick Fitzpatrick was not even very accurate, and they still blew out Kansas State on the road. I think Mississippi State's really good. Top 10 caliber team. I love Joe Moorhead. Yeah, I think Vandy will keep it close on the road against Notre Dame. Drew Lock, I love Missouri on the road against Purdue. I think they're going to blow Purdue out. Purdue has not been very good.